Now we're recording. Welcome everybody to episode 37. It's weird that I say the number for episode, people are at home, at home being like, wow, 30. That's the main reason I tuned in, was to hear the number of the episode. I think it's just because I don't have much to say as an inch. This is episode 30. It's a true thing. It's episode 37. It's an episode, and it's 37. And I'm happy to be here today. It's called I Just Got My Kid to Sleep, and I don't know if I did. I mean, that sounds like I'm not a good parent, but he's in there, and man, whoo, he's in there. I just heard it get quiet, so I think he finally did. But it's like nighttime, It's after the bedtime. That's one thing they don't tell you as a parent, is that your bedtime isn't their sleep time. Even adults, they say if you fall asleep, so that it is a valued statistic. The fact that I don't know who said it, but I've heard that if you fall asleep quicker than 15 minutes, then you're overtired. So, which is kind of the bright side of not getting being overtired. I started to think about that. If I wake up really early and I have to go do whatever, I can just be tonight it's gonna be so fast. Man, the other night, I don't know if I should talk about sleep right now, because you might be listening to it at night. That sounds better. I was laying in my bed, and I'll watch TV on my phone sometimes, which, how long are we going to do this before we just say, just watching shows on your phone, Michael? Just streaming. I was just streaming, but I want to know people to know that the show I was watching was once on television. I don't need to know. I just feel like it's a little better. I think streaming can be good too. You know what I'm saying. So, usually I don't watch stuff before I go to sleep in my bed. I'll watch it outside of it. I know some people are after a certain amount of time, it's a sacred, no screens, no, and that's awesome. I'm saying that's probably very good sleep hygiene. I shouldn't say this next part, but I don't know if sleep hygiene applies to you when you fall asleep faster than 15 minutes. And that's kind of where I'm at. My day is full. That is a positive way to look at it. My days are full. My nights are long. I fall asleep under 15 minutes. I don't know if I fall asleep under 15 minutes. I think the only way to find out is to fall asleep, and then you don't really know. I guess you could have something happen at minute 15 and then be and then you could wake up in the morning and be did that thing happen? Maybe you could have a recording of a number pop up at minute 15, but then you might be I gotta wake up, Sleep is so touchy. So touchy. Jack and I have been reading lately. Well, I read to him. I don't know, he tells me. You talked to any 5-year-olds recently? It's okay. They say, and I didn't know I said this, but not the they from earlier, but 5-year-olds in general. I should say my 5-year-old, who's gonna be older soon. He says this sometimes when I'm talking about something and I'm referring to a word. He's like, but Dad, I can't read. And it's just so he's just saying it because it's true. But I'm I get a little sad. Not that he should be able to read. I don't know. Some kids read when they're younger, but I don't need him to read right now. But that's a real problem for people, whether they can read or not, and he currently can't. And so in a way, I should probably treat him nicer, because what does he see? What do you look at? When you see a word and you don't here's my toothpaste. This is not a brand deal. But if you didn't know how to read, what would that say? That would just be it'd be looking at archaeology stuff, hieroglyphics. It was a tooth. You could figure out it was toothpaste probably. But isn't that important? Anyway, I don't know if I'm pretty sure he's asleep now. We've been really going through. I was such a bragger when I came to being a parent last year at Halloween. I know this Halloween podcast theme is just extending week after week. There's just so much to really dissect with how to dissect. I heard Tom Brady, TB, as they refer to him now. Tom Brady, I don't know him, but when he was a player, they always called him Tom Brady. You know, he was Tom Brady. And there's a comedian out there whose name is Tom Brady, and he changed his last name to I think it was his mom's maiden name, because Tom Brady was kind of confusing to get booked as a comedian because, you know, I think the club owner would figure out if you're emailing a club to be like, hey, I want to work here, I'm Tom Brady, and then they see your picture, they know you're not Tom Brady, but you put the Tom Brady's coming to the comedy club on the website, that's going to confuse people. And that's, I think, with TV stuff. Anyway, he changed his last name. And now I was watching the Bears-Packers game, and TB was announcing it, and they just kept calling him TB. And I'm like, it's Tom Brady. He's the most famous quarterback ever. Maybe one of the most famous athletes of all time. He doesn't need a nickname now. I feel like maybe that was his nickname all the time. But I don't know. I feel like his nickname should be more like special, you know? Like, not just your initial, you know, like you win the most Super Bowls ever, they should call you like Super Tom or something. But TB, he's TB, you know, like King James, right? LeBron, like Air Jordan, maybe it's just basketball. But like I don't know. I don't think he should stand for it. Maybe it's because he's a broadcaster now and they have so little time because the game's just happening that they can't really just say his whole name. I just want to hear someone call him Tom. That's what. Because I think part of me, when you watch a football game, if you've ever wanted to play or played or really like it, you kind of pretend that you can put yourself in it, you know, and be like, oh, I wanna like it, and if I was like playing with Tom, I would want him to I wouldn't be like Tom. I wouldn't want to be like, hey, TB. It just feels like, you know, it just doesn't feel, in a way, I think nicknames make people feel kind of exclusive sometimes, where you're like, oh, they know their nickname, and so they call them the nickname. But for me, he's always been Tom. I've only heard him called Tom. Announcers called him Tom. And now that people are calling him TB, I'm just like, I don't think they're as special to him because that's not his name. His name's Tom. Like, my name is Michael, right? Palisak. I'm my son's dad, so he calls me dad. And we have a game where sometimes I have to talk to his toys, and his toys will call me Michael Dad. I'm like, you don't have to do that. You can call me Michael or Dad. And then his toys will be like, okay, Dad Michael. And I'm just like, and I'm doing all of the voices. I think that's part of why, as a parent, when you're a performer, I don't feel the need to go on stage every night anymore because I have a child who requires me to perform all the time with no residuals. And you have to remember what you did, because you're going to have to reenact it every day until he forgets. And then one day you're going to go to reenact it and he'll just be like, what are you doing? And you're like, I thought this was forever. And that's when you got to start over. When he was a younger child, he would cry a lot while he was taking a bath, and I would sing songs to make him not cry anymore. But they were just made up songs, like about crying and about how it's okay, or like about the bath and how that's like crying or something. I don't remember him, but I would be making up the songs, and then the next day he'd be like, I want to hear that song again, in his way of talking before he really knew how to talk. And I'd be like, I gotta start recording these sessions because I don't remember any of them, which is really a compliment. That's pretty much a humble brag, I guess. You know, I don't think I should come on my podcast and talk about how my son needs me to remember my improvisation. That's what I was gonna say. I noticed when I was watching TB do the Bears game that he said improvisation. He's like the O was an I, but then he covered right away and he's like improvisation. And I was like, that's a very veteran move for an announcer. That's something I remember as a comedian. If you're on stage talking in any way and you say the word wrong, it's way better to just fix it and say it right than to just ignore it like a crazy person, you know? Like, I don't know what the fumble of the word would be, but in that case, if he had just been like, that was a great improvisation by the Bears, and then just continued on, I would have been like, he thinks that's how you say improvisation. And, but he fixed it. And I'm like, oh, I forgive that because I mess up all the time with talking. I can barely talk right now. I can talk. I just feel like there's pockets of air in my nose that the air is going through and some pockets aren't. And it just started. I would have blown my nose earlier. I can do it now, but I don't think it's necessary yet. Anyway, that was what I was talking about that. But Jack, I don't know. Okay, so I was bragging to TB. No, I don't know him. I don't think I couldn't know him, you know? Like, that's what, like, maybe someday. Like, that's the interesting. Like, this is on YouTube, you know? And I'm sure he has YouTube. And I don't know what algorithm, what he would have to search for and watch for this to come up as and the amount of views I would need for this to come up as a suggested video, so he could see that if we ever played like I don't know, like charity touch football game, that I would want to call him Tom. I'm not calling him TB, but maybe TB12. But no, I don't. It's okay. He doesn't have to know. He doesn't have to. I have friends I can play with. I mean, they have kids and they don't really have time. But like maybe on Thanksgiving I'll play. Anyway, Jack, I'm really losing this battle. So last Halloween, this is the Halloween marathon. This is the Halloween epic podcast. Not last Halloween, the last year's Halloween. I know it's confusing, and that's why I'm saying it over and over again, because that makes it clearer, right? We went trick-or-treating when he was 4 last year, and we got all the candy, and then we ate some that night, and then I put the bag away, and it was over, and he might have went in to get it candy, maybe I would ballpark it once a month, maybe 10 times max throughout the whole year. I didn't throw it away because it's not mine. I have trouble throwing things away. I can't just be like, oh, it's gone now, you know? I know you can. As a parent, you can't do anything. That's the moment in your life where you can do anything. Like my mom always told me, you can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. But I think that's definitely applicable when you're a parent. Like I could throw away whatever I want if I put my mind to it. But I didn't really go to it. And I was like, oh, that's because he's I don't know, is a good kid if you don't eat candy all the time? I don't think you're a bad kid. That's more on the parent, really. But I thought I took it as a win, you know, like he's okay. He's good. But then this year, I think he just remembered what it was and remembered how it was. And now, like I used to have candy, and after Halloween, you know, we come home from school, we could have a couple pieces, and then that was it. And then I saw this Instagram parenting thing where they talked about how on Halloween, when your kid gets your candy, which this will be really good right before Thanksgiving to hear this, like it's better to be like connected to your kid rather than being like only this many pieces or no can or whatever. But if they're like, how many can I have? Just like, well, let's sit here and have, you know, eat it in a cozy, comfortable way. And we'll see how we feel. And then you're not creating this lack where they're like, oh, this is all I get. You're not making them feel bad for wanting candy. And so I did that, and it was fine on Halloween, but now every day. It's just every day. He eats candy. And it's, like I said, like when I came home from school as a kid, we'd have a couple pieces of candy. We were allowed to have 3 of our Halloween candies. And that's kind of what he's at now, but he won't have them right when we get home. He wants them after dinner, after he's already had a normal, not like a crazy dessert. Is this really, I don't need to share all my flaws. But like he'll eat his meal and his dessert and then be like, "No, I'm doing Halloween candy." And I'm just like, and the first time I was like, "All right, we'll see what happens." And then it was not good. It hasn't been good ever. I mean, it's not bad. He's happy. He's lighting up the world. Like we FaceTime my parents a couple times and my dad was like, "He smiles so big." And I don't know how to be like, it's the sweets. And 'cause he loves you guys. But I think that W's really turned into an L this year. Jax told me that it's going to happen all of autumn. My mom was like, "Why don't you hide the candy?" I'm like, "Well, at this point, he'll know it." Like, I did try to hide it, and he found it. And he doesn't eat a lot, but it's just enough to where I'm like, "Oh, he's not falling asleep right away." And he's not falling asleep right away. But, you know, he, it'll be, I don't think I'm ruining. I mean, they couldn't sell candy if it was really, really, really bad for you. You know, chocolate's healthy, right? Is that good? This is something I want to talk about today. If you're listening to the podcast, I appreciate it. Thank you, sleepers. If you're watching, you can see I'm holding a a miniature Croc keychain. There's a McDonald's thing on it. It is from a Happy Meal. From my son's Happy Meal. This was the toy inside his Happy. This is one, not even a pair of miniature Crocs. One Croc. And it's a keychain. This is not a toy, McDonald's. This is not this is, kids don't, what keys do kids have? What is it that they're putting on there? You know, my son has keys, but they don't. That's because I lose mine a lot. And he was like, "I want some keys, Dad, just in case we get locked out. We don't have to call the landlord all the time." So I gave him some fake keys. It's actually my cousin's a house key that I still have. They live out of state. I need to mail it or give it to him. But this isn't a toy. When I was a kid, is this what this pocket? No, but like I think in general, when you say toy, this key, there's not even like, this isn't even the size of a doll's foot. This is way too big for like a normal action figure, even a big action figure. There's not two of them, so I guess that's your way to do it. It's like, what's the toy part? Like we used to have these pullback cars. They still work to this day. I have them still. At my parents' house where I keep all this stuff. That's the best place to keep stuff if you're an adult, just at your parents' house, because then you don't have to look at it, but you know that they might not throw it out. But they're really good. Or we had those things that you would like throw up against a wall and they would slowly fall down it. That's a toy. That's like, I'm doing something and it's fun. I'm gonna throw this. It didn't do anything. It just made a loud noise, and now I can't show it on camera anymore. Anyway, I just think that they could do better. I think you could do better. I feel like to be a toy, it has to have like a thing that you press, or it even could just, if it was just a Croc where you get to like their miniature Croc, but they'd have to be for like a toy. Like a Croc isn't a toy. Like if it was like an animal, that's like a toy you can run. But this is a Croc. It doesn't even have like it's not even doesn't even have eyes. You know, it's got like a McDonald's smiley face, but it's not like a Croc that comes alive and saves the day. You got to be able to save the day or ruin the day. You got to be a good guy or a bad guy. That's just how it works for toys, I think. So that's where that's at. Oops, move my camera. What are you guys up to? How's it going? You guys doing well? This is the 37th episode of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. My stand-up comedy special, which is like a podcast, but I've prepared it over 4 years. So it should be just as long, but a little tighter. It's coming out Thanksgiving Day. It is premiering on YouTube. And let me tell you, I feel like as a performer, you know, you do a lot of press for shows. When you come to town, you do a radio or whatever. Or when you get to do like a late night TV spot, you know, they're promoting stuff or whatever. And this is the press for this one. So no pressure, but tell people. Thanksgiving night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. It's right in between the second and third football game. So if you like football, it'll be after the Cowboys game and before the nighttime game. It might be a little overlap near the end, but if you got to tune out early, you know, that's the end. So if I don't have you at that point, if you're not watching it, being like, who cares about kickoff? Then turn the channel. But and you can always come back. It'll be on YouTube. For as long as YouTube probably. That's not a good way to advertise. You can watch it anytime. But if you tune into the premiere, I don't know. It's fun. I might be on the comments. I'm not sure. It depends on when my parents are eating. They would understand though if I was in the comments, But I also think if you're watching a special, just comment afterwards and I'll comment back, because just sit back and enjoy it, Put it on the big screen and just enjoy it, because we shot it to be like on the size of whatever you want. Like my friend who edited it, I was watching it on my phone and I was telling him some stuff and he was like, "Oh, I edited it on this size of screen." So I think it's better to watch on a bigger screen, but you can watch it on your phone. It'll still be good. But that's Thanksgiving Day, or I guess evening at 6:30 p.m. Central. The premiere of my first hour self-produced. There's an hour on the internet. That's like just kind of like the album that I did before. This is like, it's got angles and stuff, and there were lights, and I dressed nicely, and I wore a vest because I wanted to feel like a newsie or a Peaky Blinder. That's a little more violent, but someone said I looked like a flight attendant. That wasn't the look I was going for, but it's called He's Friendly, because I don't know. It's from one of my jokes that you'll see if you watch. It's near. It'll be before the kickoff of the next game. That joke will appear. Not at the very end, but near the end. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing the press. So if you have any questions about it, I'll talk about it next Monday too. Because then it's gonna happen. Then it's gonna be out there. It's gonna be there. And if you watch it, you can watch it. I'm going to try to figure out a way you can download it if you want to download it. But right now, it'll just be on there. Yeah, I'm not going to make any promises for all the things because I don't know what I really am doing. But it's on there. It's just private right now. So, yeah, it's unlisted, actually. So, if you... there's no way you can find it. I was going to say you could try to guess what the link is, but I don't think that's worth your time. That would be really bad use of time. If you really need it that bad, I could just send it to you right now. Don't try to just type in web addresses and guess what the numbers are. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good time, Thanksgiving Day. Like, if you're producing it through a company, they kind of get to choose, And so since I got to choose, I was like, well, I think when I was, I don't know, like 15 years ago maybe, when TBS still is a thing, but TBS had some short comedy specials. Like everyone did like 15 minutes. And mine came out on Christmas Day with Patty Vasquez's. We both split a half hour. So maybe it was like 10 to 12 minutes each. And I remember we shot those in Chicago at the Chicago Comedy Festival at Zanies. And they shot like a lot of comedians and they only aired some of them. The names were big now. At the time, they weren't. I think like Mulaney was on there and Hannibal and some other people, and they didn't pick everybody to air them, so it was pretty special. But that was really fun to watch with my family on Christmas on TV. So I was like, we'll do another holiday. So it's a holiday. It's not a holiday special. There's a joke that references Christmas, a story about Christmas, and not the Christmas story. And not a Christmas story, just a story about Christmas. And that's near the end, so you might miss kickoff if you watch that part. But you can always pause it and watch it during the commercials. So, did I give enough details? The link will be, maybe I'll put the link. Well, I won't put the link there yet. But if you're following me on YouTube, I'm sure you'll get a notification. Or you just go to my channel. I have a channel on YouTube. Everybody does that wants one. And that's where I'm putting it. So that's exciting. And I promoted it. Let's see. Do we do that? It's not on the list. But I'm all good with that. We got that out. I'm excited because I started working on some new material. when I was in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago. And so once this one comes out, if you come to a show, you'll probably see a mix for a while. Which I don't think comedians have to get rid of all of their stuff. I know some, you come to the show, a lot of people come up to me after the show and they're excited that what they're seeing isn't what they saw online. There have been two people, isn't it weird how you remember the negative? There have been two people that have been like, oh, you should have done that joke that I wanted to see that I saw online. And I don't know what to say to those people, So chime in the comments if you have an appropriate thing to say to someone who likes what you do, but you didn't do the thing that they wanted you to do. Because I feel there's a part of me that feels bad because it is online, that is the ad, Comedy's not like it's not like a food, right? Like if I see a cheeseburger in a commercial and then I, order a cheeseburger from that restaurant and they bring me like pizza, I'm going to be like, I ordered a cheeseburger, and they can't just be like, but you already saw that. I wanted to give you like a new thing. Yeah, but I didn't get to eat it, And maybe that's how people feel when they come see you live. Like they saw it online, but they didn't get to be there and eat it. So, yeah, I don't know. I've heard different comedians have opinions. Some comedians are like, just do whatever you want. Do your old stuff. Do the classics. Do the hits. Every show should be a best of. Other people are like, well, work on your new stuff, but do new stuff. Some people are like, turn it over. You got to turn it over. Get that new stuff out. Old stuff gone. New stuff in. And I think I'm somewhere in between. I'm not someone who's like, let's get rid of all the old stuff now. Like, you see me do my show 2 days after Thanksgiving, where I'll be in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's not Eau Claire, E-A-U. It's Eau Claire, which I think means clear water. Is E-A-U water in French? Because I'm with Clearwater Comedy, and I just put it together that Claire could mean clear and Eau could mean water, which is kind of maybe telling about the quality of water in France, or maybe Eau Claire. It's Eau Claire. Maybe it's Eau Claire. Eau Claire, Wisconsin at the Plus on Saturday, November 30th. So you can watch the special on Thanksgiving, November 28th, 6:30 p.m. Central in Eau Claire, or all over, probably the world. I don't know what your time zone is. It'll be adjusting towards your time zone. And then you can go to Eau Claire, Wisconsin on Saturday, November 30th to see my first show after the special and see what's in there, see what's not in there. And, yeah. But I'll be at the Plus in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Saturday, November 30th. And then I go to Little Rock, Arkansas the next weekend for at the Looney Bin. And then the next weekend, I'm in Memphis for one night. And then the next weekend, I'm in Rosemont, Illinois. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see how that progresses. But I don't think you should just get rid of everything because maybe some people can. But, my career is at a place where the shows are where the most people get to see me. So I want them to have a good time. And some people haven't seen any of it. So I want everyone to have a really good time. I think my ideal show is for it to be like, so no one knows, right? Like if you haven't seen me before, you don't know the places where I did the new stuff because I just snuck them in there. And it just melded all together, even though it maybe wasn't as like tight and perfect as you might have wanted as a performer. The audience is just like, they don't even know because they're just in and you're in and they're. And then if you have seen it before and you see a joke that you've seen, I want it to be like so fresh performing wise that you don't even know, you don't even think, I've seen this before. You might recognize it, but you might be laughing anyway because, I don't know, I watch shows and movies all the time. Not all the time. Who has time for that? But like enough to where if I watch it over and over again, I still like it. So, yeah. That's what I want. That's all I want. That's the goal. I need to dust that. I don't need to tell everyone that. I have had a good time. This past week, I was home, which was really nice, spending a weekend home. Because when your child goes to school, I never realized this. This is something I didn't realize. As a comedian, I work weekends, and in an ideal world, because that's what people go to shows. I would work during the day, every day. I was on Instagram. I posted a reel one time about how I dropped my kid off at school, and I was like, "What do I do now?" You know, I have so many options. I could take a nap. I could take a 1 hour nap. I could take a 2 hour. I messed that up. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. I could take a 5 hour nap. If I get a babysitter, I could take a 6 hour nap. And someone was like, "I go to work," and I'm like, "I wish." You know, I don't know if I wish. Oh, my son's talking. He's not asleep yet. Whoo. Tomorrow it's going to be a doozy. They nap at school for 2 hours at his school. So there's always like that buffer, you know. Next year, there's no buffer. Next year, if he's up right now, I'm just going to be like, nah. Also, first grade. Whoa, first grade. You can't just like mess around in first grade. Kindergarten's not even a year. Kindergarten's not even a grade. Kindergarten's not even like a normally numbered thing. So maybe he knows that the podcast is going on. He's like, I'm getting a credit for this. It's the first. That's the good thing about the candy is that it's very happy, you know. Which that's not why you should give your kid candy. Like he's choosing. I didn't give it. It's our neighbor's fault, really. We live in a neighborhood where some they give out the big ones, and I have to limit it. I even said like only one chocolate thing, which maybe is too many. He really likes to eat blue candy because that's his favorite color, and I think he prefers the dye, you know. So. Not to dye, the dye. He likes dye. My mom is really worried about dyes, and I was telling her about something we were eating, and she was like, "Be careful with the dyes." And it doesn't even have dyes. Like it was the color red, but it was because of beet juice. And I haven't told my mom yet. She's probably been worrying ever since. But part of me is like, well, what did we eat when we were kids? We ate dyes, and do I look okay? Is my body like? Does dye only hurt you when you find out about it, or did we dodge the dye bullet growing up? I just don't believe in any of it. No, I do. I think that's the most important thing is whether you believe in it or not. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, yeah. I was talking about something that I started talking about something else. You know, you've been here. You're here. You might still be here. I don't know. But yeah. That's the thing. I was gonna go on a lot of podcasts to promote the special, and then I didn't yet. So you get to hear it here. So that's good. Then I don't have to go anywhere. Oh yeah, I was home. I was home on the weekend because when your kid goes to school, they're gone all day during the week, and so the weekends become the. I have to blow my nose, but it's weird to do because it's not like running. It's just like I'm not gonna. The details are gross. I'm losing people. I'm healthy. I'm so healthy. I didn't realize that when your kids go to school, you lose that like special time where you just wake up. They wake you up in the morning. I missed it. You know, you go to sleep a little too late because you got your kids to sleep when they weren't on candy. That's not a drug. You don't need to talk about it like that. But like, you get them to sleep, and then you get stuff cleaned up. You do whatever work you want to do, and then you turn on something, and you're like, this seems fun. And there's so much fun in falling asleep while your kids are like watching TV or whatever. While you're whatever, that's what I was talking about. I mean, I guess playing video games is fun too, but like not everybody plays video games. I don't know how relatable that is to the whole audience. I just started again recently, just like old video games. My middle brother got me in. Younger brother, he's bigger than me, taller. I don't know. He bought me an old Nintendo for my birthday, so I've been playing that every couple, like just a little bit every once in a while, and it's really fun. To like finally get revenge on these games that destroyed me as a kid. That's what happened. When I was a kid, I never beat any video games because they were harder. When I was a kid, if you do the reason, I've seen the YouTube video. They were just like there weren't as many games, so they made the games harder so kids would play them longer, and it just made me like feel like I wasn't good at something, which I don't think that should be. Now I play games with my son now, video games, and they're not even games now. It's like a Wii game. And it's like the Mario Galaxy or whatever. And you get so many extra lives are just flying out of everything. It's just like an extra life here, an extra life here. And then when you lose your lives, you don't go back to the beginning. We used to go back to the beginning. You couldn't save until like, even when you could save, it wouldn't let you save where you were. You'd have to go back a little further. In Gal, you just go back to the beginning of that level. It's just like, here you go. Do you want to continue? And sometimes they're like, are you sure you should be playing still? When we were a kid, there was no warnings on the screen. If you were playing a game and you wanted to beat it and you were playing it for hours, the little Ganon guy didn't come out in Zelda and be like, "Hey, are you sure you shouldn't take a break?" We were just the cutting edge of it. You were just playing. Zelda you could save. That was Zelda was I like it how I was like, I don't know if everybody listening plays video games. And then I was like, I'm going to talk about that with a lot of fever and passion. Zelda was the game that you could save. And I remember that very specifically because I got it for Christmas. That was the Christmas that broke all Christmases because I forget what grade I was in. I had to be like going on the 7 years old. And we were moving soon. And I don't think we knew it yet. And I think my parents are sort of, maybe not, but maybe a little bit. I would do that if I was a parent. I mean, I do it anyways. Overcompensating for the fact that they were uprooting us from everything we knew and loved and moving us to a different part of the country where we knew nobody and knew no love from anybody in a different environment, different kind of culture, pretty much. And I remember that year for Christmas, my mom was making the list for Santa, and I just asked for everything I wanted. And it was a lot because you're a kid. You love everything. You know, you ask for, you see something on TV. My son does it now. We don't really get a lot of commercials because you stream. I'm not bragging. A lot of people stream. But, like, when we're at Grandma Grandpa's and they just have, like, the Disney Channel or whatever, he'll be like, I want that. I want that. And it's not even targeted towards him. Like, some of it's, like, very specifically, and maybe, you know, gender, who cares? But, like, he just wants everything. And he wants it even more once he wants it. You know, like if I were to buy him a toy at a store, I'm sure he would like it. But if he picked it out ahead of time, it's just like so much joy. So the surprise factor, I don't buy into that much anymore. Like he doesn't know that he's getting it, but if I know he wants it, I feel better buying it. But anyway, that year I like just kept saying things I wanted, and the list got longer and longer. And I got Ninja Turtles and Zelda that year. 2 video games. Are you kidding me? And they're just for me, not even for like sometimes as a kid you'd ask for something and everybody would get it. Like we got like a power pad for Christmas after it was out for a while. But like I asked for it and it was like a gift for everybody. But like I remember when we went to open it, my dad was like, "Here, you open it," and it was just sort of being like, "This is too expensive for one child to have." Because then we'd have to get everybody this much expensive things, which works out sometimes. Like as adults, one time my younger brother asked for an iPod Touch, which was before iPhones. They had an iPod Touch, which was like an iPod. It was like an iPhone, but it was not an iPhone. It was just an iPod, and they were really nice. And then we all got iPod Touch. I didn't even know what an iPod Touch was. I never had an iPod before, and I got one because I think my mom was like, "This is easy. Christmas is done," and anyways, that year I asked and I got it. And then the next year we were writing letters to Santa and my mom was like, "Oh, we're only going to ask Santa for 3 things this year because that's how many gifts Jesus got for Christmas," which is like, yeah, but we're not Jesus, you know? Like Jesus also got gold. Like with Santa, I'm sure would have gotten him more if he was around back then. But that's the year I broke Christmas. But Zelda was a game that you could save, which is still the best Zelda, in my opinion. Chime in the comments if you disagree. I haven't really played any of the others consistently or a lot, ever. I kind of stopped. But that was the only game I ever beat because you could save. And I remember having a conversation with my mom when I got it because I was like, "Mom, if you call me," I might have talked about this in the podcast. I'm going to keep going. I was like, "Mom, if you call me for dinner or you want me to go do something, just know that I'm going to have to die first." And she was fine with it. I think I mentioned it was a video game, but it was just like, okay, you know. My parents were way more okay with talking about dying in a fictitious sense, I think, than this generation of parents are. Like my son will talk about. Just today was talking about we were playing a board game, and talking about people like his characters killing these other characters, which is like it was like Trouble or something where you jump on them, they have to go back to the beginning. And his mom was like, "How about we say trapping them," which is like I don't know if that's better. At least if you kill them, it's over. You know, they're not tortured. If you trap somebody, have you seen some of the torture movies trap movies? People are trapped, kidnapping. Anyway, you could save some games, but they were still very hard. And it's been nice as an adult to go back and look at that Nintendo and look at that game. I'm playing Castlevania and be like, I got all day. I don't have, no one's calling me to dinner. Castlevania. Simon's Quest, this is my quest. This is the first one. It's not Simon's Quest. This is my quest, and I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Not only do I have all of the resources that are provided to me, I can go on YouTube and watch someone beat you over and over and over again and absorb the technique and the processes. All the answers that are out there. But now I also have the time. All I have to do is put off my parenting and business duties, and I'm going to beat you, Castlevania. You thought it was over when I grew up, but I came back, and now I'm going to kill you. I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to beat the game. I'm definitely going to beat it. I'm going to get another one. I'm going to beat that game. I'm going to beat another one. I don't know how people play the new games. I don't know how they catch up. Like, I guess it's like music. Like when I was a kid, my parents, when we were in the car, they'd always listen to oldies music. They would always, like, they were probably my age now, and they would listen to oldies music. And my aunt, though, was cool. She listened to all the music. And I think there's just a point in your life where if you miss some music, you can't just jump back into music, You can't just be like, oh, now I'm going to, because it's like a story, You got to listen to it progress. If you just jump in, you're going to be like, that's too loud. And then you sound old, and you're like, I don't want to sound old again. I'm not listening to that station. And maybe that's where I'm at with video games. Like, I played it as a kid, and then I went to college, and I didn't have one. I wasn't one of those kids that had the backing, the financial backing to bring a video game system to college. I had brothers. We had to leave it at home. It stayed at home. Okay? It's not yours. It's ours. It stays at home. And then I just never got into that world and never picked it up again until, the Wii with my kid. It's not even my Wii. Some old roommates that I had left it in the apartment. And my one roommate, who it wasn't his, he was just like, if you want it, you can have it. So I took it and put it in my closet. My son was born. Life was changed. The world revealed to me. Every moment was special. We would just be playing stupid games where he would his toys, baby toys are like, they make sounds. They talk about colors. I would make up games. And I remember I had a game where there was like a blue ball and a red ball and a green ball, and they went in this helicopter. And then I did a song. And we did this for a good amount of time. I would say something like, this is the blue ball, this is the red ball, and that's not the tune. I can't remember. I was making it up at the time. But at the time I could repeat that because we did a lot. And we would just sit there for 15 minutes while he would take the color he wanted, put it in the ball, and then press the music that he wanted, and then we would sing and then do it. And I was like, oh, this is the very beginning of playtime. It's kind of, that's one of the cool parts about being around a baby going into being a kid, because you get to see like, oh, this is where they're amused by this. This is the very basic. There's a song, there's a color, there's a number, there's a button. This is it. And I was bored out of my mind. But like I was interested because I got to see in my son's, like, he was happy and he was content because he didn't know about all the other action figures and cars and trucks, and there's just like these balls and this helicopter, and he had toys before, but they forget so fast, they get surprised. So like that was the beginning. And then he pulled a Wii out of my closet, and he just knew that it was something, and I put it away like the Halloween candy. He just found it again, and then I got involved in that, and I was just like, those games aren't easy, but it's like they definitely give you a lot more chances. And it's more about that. Whereas like my old video games were just like, go home. You're not good enough. Go home. Oh, you're 7? Ninja Turtles is your favorite show ever? And the movie is your favorite movie ever? Even though it wasn't your first VHS, it was one you got later. But it's your favorite movie at the time ever? Here, try playing this video game. Oh, ha. It's one of the hardest ones ever made. Ah, yeah. Watch your heroes get shocked and die and drown underwater. They don't actually die. It is interesting. I mean, anybody knows this. Like, I'm not. I don't think I'm uh, eliminating a lot of my audience. But like in Mario Brothers, it's. I was thinking about this recently because we were playing like the old one. They have like on the Wii you can play like the old Nintendo version of Mario Brothers, and the music is so light in Mario Brothers. You know, it's like da 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 da, and then you take a jump and you fall to your death. Like you're so close to a cliff. You're falling to your death, and it's just like don 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 don. And in this version, Mario just pops up, just like whoops. You know, what a good attitude towards falling to your end. You know, like I guess that's all I can ask out of my last moments. Like hopefully I make it to the point where it's not because of something like that. But if I do, like I'm cooking or something, I cook. I'd also cook. I could talk about that more. Um, I'm not saying I cook well, but I put food. Do you do burgers on the pan or in the oven? I feel like when I see people do burgers at a restaurant, they like flatten the burgers. Maybe you guys don't eat meat. I don't mean to offend veggie but like they flatten them and then they flip them and then they flatten them again, flatten, and then they like scrape the grill and then they put stuff on them and then they flatten them and then I try to flatten them. They just still be like they're little chunks. I don't know how to make non-chunk burgers. They're just like chunks. Sometimes they break apart, and it's not even a burger. It's just little bits. I gotta get better. But yeah, if Mario was real, and you were that close to a cliff, you'd be like, I'm not. The princess isn't gonna be saved today. There are so many cliffs, and now I gotta go underwater. Somehow I can breathe, and there's jellyfish that are just dancing around. Fish that could touch me and kill me. What? How vulnerable am I? I can get brushed by a fish and now I'm small and now I'm dead. How are we swimming in the same water? If a fish can touch me in any part of my body as I'm swimming like a doggy underwater, holding my breath, I can hold my breath underwater for so long. But if one fish brushes up against me, it's like, you're dead. You're dead. Deadly fish touched you. I get the fire. Yeah, that's not safe. You're so close to lava. It's on fire. I don't know how you can even jump over the lava. It's so hot. That's got to be dangerous, Anyway, I'm getting my revenge. And if anybody has any suggestions on video games for the original Nintendo, my younger brother has a Super Nintendo, and there's a lot of hard games on that too. And I don't know if I'll live long enough to beat all the hard games, but I'm gonna beat this one, and I'm gonna beat the next one, and then we'll see where we are. And yeah, it does get the adrenaline going. I don't know if it's good, to have that adrenaline. But when Jack would have a cough or something, because kids get sick so much, and this was before candy. He didn't. Candy just started. This is the first time he's ever really eaten candy, and I wouldn't say it has him. Like he told me that once autumn's over, he's gonna stop. Which makes him sound like an addict. Like, Dad, I can quit any time. I'm just gonna go through autumn. Okay. Who told you about autumn? That's what's funny about kids. They I don't know, maybe not all kids, but Jack will just be like, he gets ahead of the legislation. That's the thing. That's what gets me. That's where, as a parent, that's my jump into the pit. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe life would be better if every time I fail, I just had that music and I had to come to terms with the failure. Like I put my clothes in the washer. I don't know. My dryer's kind of broken, and I don't look at the dryer. That it catches the thing. The dryer sheet, the thing that protects. This is a bad example. It's too confused. But like the thing that filters out the stuff, it sticks out a little bit, and my clothes get stuck on it. And if I don't watch the dryer every couple minutes, it would like wrap up the whole thing, and like just destroys clothes. And And I could see that, and then just be like, bum, 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 na, 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 na. You live in an apartment. It's not that hard to call them to fix stuff. They really fix stuff pretty fast. I did call it in. Has anybody ever had this where you have the dryer thing? You pull up, you clean. That thing doesn't go all the way down. And so there's a little part picking up, and it just hooks onto things. And the only answer I've gotten that's worked, the only thing that's worked is I got something stuck on there and I just left it because it wasn't like an important thing. It was like a rag or something. And then nothing else got stuck on it. So nothing else got ruined because it just like twirls it around and everything is twirled. And all of a sudden it's one whole twirl thing. And then nothing gets dry in the twirl. And then sometimes I have a shirt, not this one. I wouldn't wear that for the podcast. It's a nice pocket. But it's got like a hole in it here because it's like twisted. My fitted sheet has a hole in it now. You know, like I tell Jack, all right, you can have candy because I saw something on Instagram that says a parent, if you say no to it, you're going to make them feel like they're bad for wanting it. And now they eat it every night after dinner and they don't fall asleep for hours. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot of things. There's a lot of ways to mess up. How else do I have flaws? What are my other? I trip all the time. Oh, this happened recently. So I got to be home for the weekend, and so we did a lot of like cool stuff where there were like people just out, and I was at a park, and I was talking to a dad who was like a production, it just turned out we were talking about, or he knew I was a comedian because I don't dress like an adult. I had like a Ninja Turtle t-shirt on, and he works. I live near like the studios or whatever, and he's like, I found out his job was like a development executive, which is kind of like, as a performer, that's like a good person to know because they develop and you need to be developed. And at one point in the conversation, I was like, oh, he grew up here. I was like, oh, so are you excited about the Dodgers? And he was like, I don't really follow sports. My wife's from New York, so she was, he implied that she was upset, and then he just walked away and played with his kid, and I never talked to him again. Don't ask people about sports unless they initiate it, because they might have negative feelings toward it, especially if they're in the arts. That might be why they like comic books and do stuff for DC. I don't know. It's weird where I live because there's a lot of people that in the business, the business side of it, and I don't know how to talk to those people. I realize I'm just gonna talk to, like, if we both have kids, I'm just gonna talk about parent stuff nonstop. Like, how could I talk about parent stuff for longer than an hour? Whoa, I just did it. You go do a podcast and leave your kid to go to sleep in the bed by himself, but you just still hear him even though the podcast's almost done. And now what are you going to do? You play for the Chicago Bears and you don't kick the ball high enough to go over a player's hand. Don't you know how high they can reach? I just did the sports thing with you guys. There was a Bears game where the field goal got blocked, and you guys might not like sports. Everybody, I don't know. I've had a good time. Thank you for being here for episode 37. It's pretty abrupt. We covered a lot, and I feel like we got there. I'll be in Eau Claire, like I said, then Chicago, Rosemont, Little Rock, Memphis, Mahomet, Illinois by the end of the year. And this Wednesday, a family friend, if you're in Los Angeles, there's a bunch of short films about snowboarding at the Ray Theater. I might go there Wednesday if I can get a babysitter. I haven't so far. But that's something cool to check out. They're inspiring, and they're documentaries, I think. They're short films about people snowboarding, like it's like snowboarding like in the mountains. So, yeah, that could be cool to see if you're in the area. But anyways, have a good one. I love you. Thanks.